Hey, what's up guys, Strike here, coming at you with another Mezco 112 collective figure review, and today we're going to be taking a look at the newly released Spider-Man figure for the 112 line from Mezco Toys. I am super stoked about this guy, just got him in the mail today, and as you can see we've got an awesome packaging here with our Spider-Man emblem on the front there, looking really cool. It's a very original design. Obviously we got some inspiration from the Sam Raimi films going on there. This almost looks like a Batman emblem head, which is pretty cool looking though. And on the side, of course, we got 112 Collective post-play display, Mezco Toys, and the back Spider logo there. On the same side, or on the opposite side, we got the same thing going on there. It's all spot varnish, so feeling pretty cool. On the back here, we got our new Mezco layout here, the full figure here, an alternate head, 4 sorted web lines. We got the stand and the posing post, as they call it, and 8 interchangeable hands with 4 pictures from the promotional artwork that they posted. On the bottom, we got some copyright information. On the top, we've got that spot varnished 112 logo. And let's slide this bad boy off to reveal the figure. I haven't taken a look at him yet, but here we go. And that, whoa, little random piece of cardboard fell out. That's new. And of course, here we have the new interior, as we saw with the Deathstroke box. You can see the figures in there, getting some glare from my lamp. 112 spot varnish there. The Mezco Toys emblem spot varnish there. And then, of course, 112 Collective again. Anyways, let's go ahead and take a look at some of those accessories. As you can see here, we have our Mezco 112 stand for Spider-Man. It's a very dark blue with a very dark red spider emblem on there. We're looking pretty awesome. You know, I'm kind of liking the color scheme here. I usually like my Spider-Man colors to be a little bit brighter, but since this is a Mezco 112 figure, I do really think this is awesome. Now, it does kind of bug me that this isn't ended up being blue instead of red. I don't understand that, considering it landed in the spiders. So why is it blue? I don't know, it's just kind of weird to me. And then of course we get our typical Mezco stand. This one's probably gonna need to be tightened. This one feels very loose, kind of weird, but okay. And then on top of that, we also get something that we haven't seen before. I haven't seen before, at least not for Mezco. It's one of these magnetic, it looks like. I feel like it's magnetic. So it's probably going to be something that we're going to be able to clamp Spider-Man to and stick him to something magnetic so that he can climb up walls and stuff. It comes in this neat little styrofoam pouch thingy, which is nice. I like that a lot. And it's very cool that they included that. But anyways, that is the stand, looking very awesome. Okay, here are our spider webs that we get with Spider-Man. As you can see, we get several. This one being the longest one. I'll get into this one in a minute. We got this really cool spray looking one, which I like a lot. I really like how this turned out. This looks really neat, and I like how it looks like he's like webbing this, you know, like to make a massive web. I think that's really neat. I'm trying to get it to focus properly. I think this is really neat and a very essential Spider-Man accessory. Anyways, that's how you peg them on. I believe these go over the wrist pegs, if I'm not mistaken. And then you put the hands on, so it looks like he's spinning the web. And then, of course, we got his web to where he's grabbing something, unlike the homecoming version of Spider-Man. Yeah, unlike the homecoming version of Spider-Man, this version's attached to a web. Now, it doesn't feel like these are posable. It feels like they're very thin, obviously. I don't think there's a wire in them, and I'm a little too nervous. I know that there's a wire here in this one, but this one does not feel like there's a wire to it. This one is one of those balled up webs at the end, like he just sprayed or spun the web. And then, yeah, give me that one. This one's much smaller, much thinner. Looking really nice. And then of course here's our bendable one. It's very obvious that this is not made out of the same material. It's just a wire with the little web balls at the end of it. It looks like this is just going to slide through his hand for when he's, you know, spinning the webs and whatnot, but that's very, very cool. Anyways, those are your Spider-Man web accessories. Now let's go take a look at the hands and the other head sculpt. So here we have the rest of the accessories. Just a simple 4 pairs of hands and the alternate head sculpt. These are the fists that came on the figure. I just wanted to show these off before I got into the actual accessory hands, the alternate hands. Just a pair of fists. The cobwebbing is definitely, you know, protruding from the actual hand, so that's really nice. The detail in there makes it kind of look like in the palm he's got some fabric in there, as opposed to, you know, the rest of it, which is just kind of flat, I believe. So that's kind of neat, kind of shows that maybe there's, oh, I'm not even showing it. Maybe that there's a pressure pad in there somewhere, if it'll focus. There we go. You can kind of see the detailing in there, which is really cool. Let me just adjust that so maybe you can see that a little bit better. Yeah, there we go. So you can see that in there in the hand, and then of course then there's the other one, which I can just show briefly. Looking pretty sick. I really like these hands a lot. Of course, I'm probably not going to be using them as much. Here are your wall crawling hands. As you can see, the open palm gives you a better look at what it's like in there. And yeah, there's definitely, like right there on the palm, that little texturized pad thing there. That's probably where he whips the webs from. Now, I really like this hand a lot because it does look like he's crawling. It does kind of got that spidery pose to it. This other one, however, is more of like, it's more of like a reactionary hand, which is kind of funky that they did that. I'm not sure how I like that, because this one looks like he's wall crawling. This one just kind of looks like whatever. And they don't really match to me, so that's kind of annoying. The fingers are kind of rubbery, so I'm going to be careful not to bend those. Then we get a pair of web holding hands so that we can slide webbing into his hands. And he can swing from it or pull stuff, and just to take the wired web there and to stick that in there. Nice and good there. That's nice. So this is the web that you're going to want him to swing from, I assume. Very cool that it's like that, although I can't get it underneath all his digits. But yeah, that's a really cool web. I like that a lot. Pretty cool. Anywho, and the final pair of hands is going to be the thwip hands. Pretty much the exact same. You can see on the fingers too, he's got the little texture thing going on so he can climb up the walls where the little tiny hairs grow through. And then of course the last accessory, if it'll focus please. There you go, is the alternate head sculpt. This thing is amazing. I did not expect the eyes to be this kind of like translucent plastic, to give it kind of like an Alex Ross look to it. Now, I'd usually prefer the Spider-Man eyes to be a lot wider than this, but this head does look a lot cooler than I thought it was going to. I actually really like this a lot. And to say the paint on the cobwebbing on the head turned out pretty good. I know sometimes when they mess up on the Marvel Legends paint jobs sometimes, but this looks really, really good. And yeah, that head sculpt is pretty awesome. So those are all the hands and the head sculpt for the Spider-Man figure. Let's move on to the actual figure himself. And here we have the Mezco 112 Spider-Man figure out of the packaging, and I think I am going to fall in love with this figure pretty much instantly. I love this head sculpt. It looks fantastic. But let's get into some articulation. So his head is on a ball joint, I believe. Let's actually take a look. Yep, it's on the ball joint like normal. So you get a great range. You get the 360. You can get him to look up an insane amount. I'm trying not to move that neck joint. So you can get him to look up an insane amount, and you can get him to look down that much, and then you get some head tilt in there. Now you can see the neck's moving with it, and really wants to move with it. So we're going to let it move with it to show off that neck articulation. So getting him to look up that much is crazy awesome. And my suit's a little off center there. That's going to bug me if I don't straighten it out a little bit. There we go. I'll probably just slide right back over, but okay. And then, ooh, can feel his head wanting to pop off. Get him to look down that much, and then of course you saw him tilting his head completely to the side like that. That's pretty cool. But let's get into some shoulder articulation. So there's not really a butterfly joint there, but you can feel the ball joint at the shoulder, which gives you a great range of articulation. I can already tell this suit is great. Like, oh man, I don't want to move my camera. I can just feel like in that diaphragm. Look at that diaphragm go, man. All the way front, and that back logo looks so cool. Oh my gosh. And then leaning him back just like that. And then of course you get the waist, so you can get, oh man, some damn good. I didn't even go into the arms all the way. So you get the swivel right at the bicep, you get the double jointed elbow, you do get the ball joint at the wrist. so you can pose him around there. Let's get into the leg articulation since I already went into the chest. You can get him to kick up pretty dang far with these. Love these Mezco fabric suits. I just love them. I know some people don't like them because they look like pajamas or whatever they want to say, but I adore them. You can get him to go back that much. He does have some sort of a joint swivel right there at the right there at the upper thigh, and then he's got a double jointed knee. Cool. And then he got somewhat of a boot rotation. I don't think that's really a joint. And then he's got some waist pivot at the ankle. Try not to break mine like I did Deathstroke. But yeah, I can feel that in there wanting to move a lot. He doesn't have any toe articulation, which kind of sucks for a Spider-Man figure. But man, does he got a great range of articulation for a Spider-Man figure. And the suit is fabric. Man, I really like this figure a lot. This might be my favorite Spider-Man figure. I don't know. It's a tie between him and the Homecoming Hot Toys figure. So I gotta make a decision here. I'm liking this guy better than the Pizza Spidey from Marvel Legends already. I mean, it's pretty much the exact same style. It's got a little bit of a sharper edge to it. Like, it's more, like, realistic, obviously. But it's also kind of more, like, I want to say badass. Like, that feels like the right word to use to describe it. This feels a little bit more like a badass Spider-Man. And I really like how they did, like, the gloves here. This transition of, like, the plastic for, like, the wrist so they could make it look right. And then transitioning it into the actual red on the suit looks really, really good. And I just really like that a lot. Like, that just feels like if they did this in like a movie sometime, I think it would come out really, really cool. Having like a Spider-Man with, like, you know, the spandex suit or the fabric suit or whatever, and then giving him that kind of like rubber gauntlet thing going on there. I think that'd be really cool. Like, I don't know. I know he's got his web shooters, which kind of count sometimes as that. But yeah, that is definitely how I feel about that. Anyways, moving on to the actual detail of the suit. Like I've been saying, it kind of does the same thing the Hot Toys Homecoming figure does, where this is obviously, but it's kind of opposite, because on the Hot Toys Homecoming figure, this is more of the rubber, the blue is more rubbery, and then the red is more of a fabric. Whereas since this figure requires plastic for like the head, the neck, the hands, the wrists, the boots, it kind of used the rubbery material to blend in better, so they have the red like that. And obviously they have the print of the cobwebbing on there, so that kind of works out a lot better, especially since this is a different style costume. And then the blue is the fabric, but I think that's why I like this figure a little bit more than the Homecoming figure, is because the areas in the articulation, like the areas you want to articulate the most, are going to be like the legs and the arms, or at least that's my opinion of what you should probably, like what I want to pose most on a figure. So having most of it, you know, in the blue already, because that's just how Spider-Man's designed, and having that be the more cotton fabric is more useful, and it's more successful when you're trying to create a figure. And I just really like the design of these logos, man. Like, that is a cool logo. Like, it's totally different from the back symbol on the costume. And I don't know, I just think that this turned out like really, really good. The design is just so awesome. I love this figure a lot. Anyways, I should probably show off real quick how to attach one of the webs. So I'm going to take this here, and I'm going to attach it onto that wrist peg. And I'm going to take his whip hand, and I'm going to slide it over and get it kind of in there. I think that's on all the way, maybe? Kind of slides around a bit. Awesome, cool. So there we go. That's a cooler, I like this mechanic a lot for the webs. Getting his arm posed like that. Oh, that's cool. I like that a lot. Having him spray his web like that. And then maybe I can do the other one at the same time. Ha. I'll do the spray. I'll do the crazy spray there. Whew. Now the bendable wire doesn't have, the bendable web doesn't have the ability to do this. So, yeah, okay. Anyways, here he is spraying his spider webs, looking pretty cool. Can get him into some Spider-Man poses. His ankle articulation's starting to come out a little better. It's a little stiff for me, but it's turning out a little bit better than I hoped. Can get him into a action pose here. That looks really cool. I like that a lot. Him sending his webs off into space, that looks really, really cool. I love this figure, man. God, it's so good. I'm so glad I picked this up. Like, oh, just the suit, the accessories are awesome. But yeah, let's get into some size comparisons, because I'm gonna start rambling soon if I don't. So let's go ahead and check out what he looks like against other figures. First off, we're going to be comparing Spider-Man to the Mezco 112 Daredevil and the Mezco 112 Flash, just so that we can be seeing red with 3 red superheroes. And I'm going to have a lot of fun posing these two together, but I wanted to throw Flash in there because he just has red on him. And I think it's funny how he's the shortest out of all of these. Spider-Man stands the same size as Daredevil, which means this is a pretty tall Peter Parker, which is pretty cool. So this is probably more of a college Peter Parker, which is, you know, around my age group. So I'm going to relate to this figure a little bit more just because I'm around that age group. And that's kind of like where I like my Spider-Man to be, is in college. So that's pretty cool. I like the size comparisons here. And here we have the Mezco Spider-Man in a lineup of my top 3 superheroes of all time. Number 1 being Batman, number 2 being Spider-Man, and number 3 being Green Arrow. I love these superheroes the most, so that's why I chose to do this little lineup. And this is a DC Collectibles Arkham Asylum Batman. It's a remake from the 4-pack. And then this is the DC UC Green Arrow. So there's your size comparison for those figures there. But those are my top 3, so that's what I'm going to have, you know, as this lineup. So let's move on to the next one. And here we have the Mezco 112 Spider-Man figure, standing next to the Mayfeg's Dawn of Justice Armored Batman figure, and the DC Collectibles DC Icons Supergirl figure. We got some red and blue going on here, and then again, we just have my favorite superhero next to my second favorite superhero. So that's pretty cool. Although these proportions aren't necessarily right, Batfleck here is still slightly taller than Spider-Man. So again, that just means Spider-Man is insanely tall, and I know the proportions aren't right. But that means he is still going to be shorter than the Mezco Batfleck, because the Mezco Batfleck is, I think, slightly taller than this figure. But yeah, that's these 3. And now it's time to get into some Marvel Legends comparisons. So here we have him standing next to Marvel Legends Wolverine and Marvel Legends Deadpool, standing taller than both of them, which is kind of okay, I guess, if you don't mind Wade Wilson being shorter than Peter Parker. But the Mezco 112 is slightly taller than the Marvel Legends line anyway, so that's going to happen. But we're just going to compare some more Marvel Legends to this guy. And here we have the Mezco Spider-Man next to the Marvel Legends Human Torch and the Marvel Legends Mary Jane Watson. Here we have the Mezco 112 Spider-Man next to the Avengers Mark 6 from the Walmart exclusive line before Marvel Legends made its comeback, and then the Marvel Legends Daredevil from Netflix. And here's the Mezco Spider-Man standing next to the Marvel Legends Shocker, the Marvel Legends Green Goblin, the Marvel Legends Venom, and the Marvel Legends Jackal. And finally, here is the Mezco 112 Spider-Man standing next to the 2002 Toy Biz Spider-Man from the first film, the Amazing Spider-Man 2 Marvel Legends Spider-Man, the Pizza Spider-Man from the Hobgoblin Wave, the Black Suit Spider-Man, and then the Tech Suit Homecoming Spider-Man. And here I've got the Mezco 112 Spider-Man finally in a really cool web-slinging pose I really, really like. I can't wait and this figure is going to be so much fun to pose around. The Spider-Man Homecoming figure is probably going to be a little bit clunkier since he's bigger, but this figure is nice and small. It's got, you know, much bigger stand. It's got more flexibility, and he's got like wire webs and whatnot. So this is probably going to be more entertaining for me, personally, just speaking from just my first impressions of this guy, just having him not out of the package for very long. I just can tell, like, it's going to be a lot of fun to pose this guy around and to get him into really cool web slinging poses and whatnot. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next review. Later, taters.